Hi everyone. Let me first start by sharing about my dear friend Justin. He is kind, he is funny, he is smart. He's originally a resident from upstate New York and loves buffalo-style chicken wings. He's also the son of a pastor and currently is actively involved in his community as a volunteer, as well as helping out within his family's church during worship services. Justin and I became friends when he was 18 years old and a senior in high school. Now, senior year is tough for many young people. There's a lot of nerves, a lot of stress. Often, you're a little overwhelmed thinking about all of the major life choices that you have to make all at once. But it's also a really exciting time because you get to finally start to realize all the dreams that you've had since you were young. And for Justin, he wasn't just a little nervous or a little anxious, he was actually terrified, completely terrified to leave high school. He didn't know what his next move would be. That's because Justin is one of almost 22,000 high school students with disabilities that graduate every single year in the state of Virginia. And what Justin was seeing that impacted so many of his friends who had graduated ahead of him was that almost 70% of young adults like Justin are graduating from high school and doing nothing, sitting at home often. When we look at national averages for young adults with developmental disabilities, that unemployment rate is closer to 80%. We have to do better than that, especially when we look at what unemployment looks like for the general population. For the average adult, unemployment is typically only between 3 to 5%. That is a huge discrepancy. So then why does that discrepancy exist? Certainly in Justin's case, it's not because he doesn't want to be employed. In fact, he understands the value of work. He gets that going to a job, it's far more than going to a physical building each day, 9 to 5, clocking in and clocking out. Work would give him a sense of purpose, a sense of pride, a sense of confidence. It would allow him to be independent emotionally and financially. It would also help to integrate him further into his community, helping him to build a network and so many friends. So if it's not for lack of interest, then why is it that students like Justin are graduating and are unable to find opportunities for employment in the community? And that's where we get to the two key underlying issues. The first is that often students like Justin, unfortunately, are not quite prepared for the world of work. The schools don't quite serve them the way that they often serve other young adults. The other issue is that the business community isn't typically prepared either to receive students like Justin into their teams as employees. So we're going to unpack each one of those issues a little bit further. So first, thinking about Justin, what is that experience like for him in high school? Justin has an intellectual disability, so he will have primarily been in a self-contained classroom setting where he is pursuing a modified high school diploma. That diploma status alone is significant because it's going to make him immediately ineligible to go on to a traditional 2-year or 4-year college experience. It's also going to make him immediately ineligible to apply to countless area jobs in his community, which all expect at least a standard diploma or more. And what we see with Justin is that he also isn't necessarily getting job training or internships or shadowing as you would expect of someone who has ultimately that goal to go out and to find work should be getting. And arguably, when you look at young adults who are college-bound, the schools often seem to be able to serve them a bit better. A student that is college-bound is going to be receiving AP courses and honors courses and be able to take countless extracurriculars to prepare them for the future. But yet there's a disconnect with students like Justin. And it's not because of a lack of focus or desire to help students like Justin. It's often that the schools struggle because they have too many students like Justin to serve. They don't have the resources, the staff, the transportation, or even the business connections to set up intensive internships that are so needed. And then when we think about the business world, and why businesses are not really ready to bring someone like Justin into their workplaces, that's another area as well that's a problem. And that's because businesses aren't really prepared to serve students like Justin. They aren't quite sure where to place them. They aren't quite sure what kinds of jobs and roles they can be taking on. They're also terrified of liability. They aren't quite sure how to implement ADA and accommodations that are necessary to support students like Justin. So often they'd rather not hire them than do so and fail and potentially face consequences. So if those are the two key issues, and we're having issues across two different sectors of our community, both in the world of education and in the world of work. How do we begin to address this critical need? How do we ever begin to address the staggering unemployment rate that impacts so many folks just like Justin? The way we do it is by reaching across sectors in our community. And that's where programs like the one that I helped create comes into play. The Next Move program, we are a nonprofit in Central Virginia, and what we do is we partner both with the school systems and with the business community to create guided and intensive internship experiences. Because what we found is that students like Justin can't just be participating in standard classes in their schools. They really need to be out in the community, learning hands-on skills in an authentic setting. And only then, when we start to think across sectors, and we start to think collaboratively and have open dialogue and really push for inclusion in our community, can we ensure that students like Justin are gonna have a shot. So I want to share with you now what Justin is up to, because it is a happy story. He's doing great things in his community. He is fully employed. He went through one of our internship experiences and excelled, and now has a full-time job working in a community college mailroom. He's also on our organization's board, so he helps to pave the way for future students. And he's an active speaker and advocate, pushing for supported employment in his community. So before I leave, a little bit of homework. I am a teacher after all. So your homework today is to leave and to think about students like Justin. Think about the unique needs that he and his family members have. And also think about how we can maybe push education beyond just a standard classroom environment. Maybe it means going out into the community. Maybe it means bringing different sectors of our community together and having thoughtful dialogue and inclusion. And if you don't see that inclusion happening, you need to use your voice. You need to speak up, use your time, your talent, your resources, your network to create change. Because only by working together and creatively are we going to ensure that all young students like Justin can have a bright future. Thank you.